It's been asked for, so we're going to jump straight into something a little more difficult, and we're going to tackle Dialogflow, integrating Dialogflow into our Jarvis system. Stick around. This is a long one. If you already have a Dialogflow account and have already made some intents, then go ahead and jump to this timestamp right here. This will bypass most of the video and get right into the Python coding to use Dialogflow with your assistant. Okay, so if you're brand new to Dialogflow, basically it is an online service that will do the machine learning for you. You just have to work on the console, kind of tie it into your system, and it will make a chatbot. It goes through Google. It used to be a service called API.ai. That was bought out by Google because it was used for chatbots, and they started using it and tying it into their Google Assistant. So you can do the same thing. You can create it for free. You just go to this website here, cloud.google.com/Dialogflow, create a Google Cloud account if you don't already have one. You can try for free here. You can go up to the top, try for free. This isn't going to be a very inclusive Dialogflow video. There's a lot of different aspects to the service. We're just going to use some small parts of it. I do recommend reading this, looking into it. There is a lot that you can do with it. You want to go and you're basically looking for the Dialogflow ES Essentials option. This is what you use for standard agents, what they call small to medium. This is the free version. Also on the Dialogflow website, you can look at the documentation. Same thing, Dialogflow ES Basics. There's a quick start. If you hit learn more, it shows you how to build an agent, the setup. So you're basically creating a project. Then once you get your project, you're going to enable the API. You want to set up authentication. And then you got to make some service keys. And then you're going to get a JSON file. Right down here, what I did is this shows you how to take that JSON file that you got. You're going to make it into an environmental variable, so you don't have to store this huge JSON file. And then, like always, pip install Google Cloud Dialogflow. Use pip to install the Python version of this. Now I'm going to show you one other one that you can do, and this is what I use. They've changed it recently to this one, so you can use this, what I use in the code. I import Dialogflow version 2 beta 1 or something like that as Dialogflow. Code will work the same. I'm going to have these sites linked in the description because it's not hard to do. It's just taking the steps one at a time to make an account. Once you make an account, that's where the fun can begin. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask, leave a comment. I'll see if I can help. As I said, I'm not an expert. I am just a layman trying to learn this stuff too. You're going to create an agent. You can name your agent whatever you want. We're going to get into it, intents. That is the main thing that we're using Dialogflow. When you use that hot word to wake up Jarvis, he's then going to start listening, and then he's going to take whatever you say, that phrase, and send it to Dialogflow. They're going to do their AI machine learning magic, then come back with an intent, and then you're going to process that intent for the rest of your code. This is your Dialogflow console. This is what you are going to use for the online intents. There is a lot that you can do with this. At the top is you should have this is your agent. So I call my agent Jarvis. Go into the settings here. Cloud-based assistant, time frame. Your project ID, you need this number here. I'm going to blur this out because I'm going to say this multiple times during this whole tutorial. This is your Dialogflow project. This is not mine. This is yours. If you put my number in there, whenever I modify something, I'm going to be modifying yours too. I want to see what you guys can make and what you guys can do. Send me some links so I can see what you guys are making, because I'm really curious how other people can use this, because I just put this together. I'm pretty sure many of you guys are more experts at this than I am. And I really want to see. Drop some links below in the comment section of maybe make a video. My first video is me just showing off what I did as a little hobby thing, and I figured, hell, at least 1 or 2 people might be interested in seeing it, so I wanted to throw it out there. So do the same. All right, back on topic here. we're mostly going to be working on intents. You can do all kinds of things with this. There's fulfillment. You can actually have it do things online. Integrations. You can connect through Dialogflow with Twilio. So it could have a phone call. There's actually a web demo, a messenger. There's Line, Slack, Skype, instant messaging, text messaging, connect them to Twitter. There's a lot you could do with Dialogflow. It's actually kind of overwhelming on some of the stuff. So we're just working on intents. This is just to get a running model work. You will see I have 5 pages. A lot of mine are these small talk agent. If you're brand new at this, you're not going to have any small talk. What this is over here. I imported mine from a previous Dialogflow account that I made. Do that. It takes all these and imports them in. If you don't have that, you can enable this, and it's the same thing. If someone asks a question of who are you, you can actually type a bunch of answers. How old are you? You're annoying. Too bad. Start creating that personality for your Jarvis. Have fun with it. You can actually get some pre-built agents. They have examples of different ones. So if you're making a chatbot for banking or coffee shops or car sales or all kinds. They keep adding this more and more. Have them tell a joke. But if you don't want to go with a pre-built, you do an intent. You would create a new intent, give it a name. So one of the examples I have on here, we'll do music. You want to keep track of these intent names because you're going to be using this later. This is going to be, the text is going to be sent from Jarvis's speech to text. It's going to go to Dialogflow. They're going to try and figure out what the intent is. Now, an example of this is, so if you told Jarvis play some tunes, he knows you're talking about music. Play some jazz, I want to rock. I want to hear a song. We're going to add some. So I want to hear a song. Get added. To some music. Why not? I want to relax to some music. All kinds of different things you could say. You could fill these up. You can have multiple pages of this. Fill this up with all kinds of different things that you think he's going to say. Or things that you think you could say or someone else might say to get him to turn on music. Come down here to the responses that these are what he's going to say. So he'll say, of course, good idea, here you go, sure, I know just the thing, I was thinking the same thing, maybe, sounds like a good idea. You can actually have this set as the end of the conversation, and we don't want to do that because we're going to have him keep going. You'd also have fulfillment. You can actually have him go to different web services if you say things. You guys can look into how to do that. There is a lot that you can do with Dialogflow. We're just using it for the basics. At least I am. Once you're done with everything, you hit save. You're going to see it says done, but it's intent saved down here. And now that agent training has started, it's taking all these training phrases, basically trying to find out things that are similar about it. It's doing that machine learning in the background, and it's training this agent on this music phrase. On the bottom, you saw a pop up where it said it was complete. So now what you can do is, if you want to, you could go up to the top here. You can actually use your microphone, or you could type in something. So if you say, I want to play some classic rock. Now, classic rock is nowhere in these examples. Play some rock, play rock and roll. Ideally, we try this out. User said, I want to play some classic rock. Default response, he says sure. This is one of his responses from before. You can actually hear what Dialogflow, they have a voice of their own.
Sure.
I like Jarvis's better, but that intent that it said is music. So it got the right one. If we were to say the same thing again, play some classic rock. Now he responded with good idea.
Good idea.
Same thing, that intent is music. What this does is instead of having to program each one of these responses into its own line of code, along with randomizing each one of these responses as what Jarvis will say, you can now have Dialogflow do that, and it will try and understand. Plus, this isn't anywhere in this, so you'd actually have to have this in there. It was able to use play, some, and then rock to figure out that we're talking about music, to then pick out a response and tell you what it's going to do. So this is what we can use to add some machine learning into our code. You're going to have some new variables. You're going to import Dialogflow version 2 beta 1 as Dialogflow. So Dialogflow underscore v2 beta 1 as Dialogflow. You can do this with just plain Dialogflow, but this is actually what I've been using. I was trying to see if it had some updates or whatnot. I don't even know why I have this one, but it works too. Create some new variables. First, we had user equals sir from before. Now you're gonna have Dialogflow underscore project underscore ID equals. This is gonna be your Dialogflow account. Change this. This is mine on here. You want to link it to your account, not mine. You don't want to have my Jarvis. When I change something, you'd have no control over it. You would be using my guy's personality. Dialogflow underscore language underscore code equals EN. So English. Session ID equals me. This is your own personal Dialogflow account. It's not a commercial one. They charge you for that. So let them know it's just going to be your private account. Now you're going to use the OS system from previously. Create some environmental variables. This one is Google application credentials. It's going to be found in your private key.json. This is a file that is on your system. You need to have this in the same folder as your current Python program. I'll see if I can figure out.
Hello everyone. This is Jarvis in the editing room. If you follow the steps from earlier, you should have already installed this file as an environmental variable in your system. All you are doing now is telling your program to use the Google application credentials that are found in the JSON file called private key. If you have any issues with this part, leave a comment to me, Jarvis, below, and I will help, if I feel like.
But you need this, otherwise you're going to start getting some error messages and it won't work. Alright, so we created a new function and I'm going to call it DF for Dialogflow. I know, it's unique. We're going to use the KISS method. We're going to keep it super simple. DF for Dialogflow. What you're going to get is a text to be analyzed. So it's going to get text, and we're going to send it to Dialogflow. That's the plan. To return what Jarvis should do next. You're going to create a session client. That's Dialogflow.sessionClient. Your session equals session client.session path. Your Dialog project ID, the Dialogflow project ID from before, your session ID from up above, your text input. This is Dialogflow.types.text input. Basically, you're sending it that text to be analyzed. You're going to do it in the language code that you selected up earlier, which was English.en. All that goes into finally a query input that you're going to send to Dialogflow. So Dialogflow.types.query input is you're going to send them the text, which is that text input, which is all this stuff previously. So it gets, basically you're making an API call and you're going to send all this to Dialogflow. You're going to try it. You're going to get a response back, which is that session client detect the intent that it was from that query. It's going to print what that query text was, so what was sent to Dialogflow. It's going to create a variable that I call Jarvis do. Jarvis do is what you're looking for. This is the intent that you're getting back from Dialogflow. This is what it thinks those words mean. That is equal to your response.query result.intent.displayName. For some debugging, we're going to print out the detected intent was, and that's the Jarvis do. And then we're going to do the detected intent confidence, which this is basically a number amount of how confident it was that it was in that category. So if you say play music, it's going to say I was 80% confident. It's going to look like 0.80 with a bunch of numbers at the end. If it's up to a certain percentage, it will respond. If it's 40% certain, it's going to return nothing. It's going to return an error. It's going to return blank. You're going to get an answer, a variable called answer. This equals to the response, that query result.fulfillment text. So this is the answer back that you get from Dialogflow. So when you say hello, if it says yo, that's your answer. If it picks and wants to say hello back, hello sir, hello whatever it wants to say, that's your answer. I'm going to create a little exception here just in case. Find out what went wrong. So the whole exception string, print that exception. You don't have to do this, but I have answer equals new. I use this just right down below. That Jarvis do, that intent comes back as an error intent, which you can actually use this for programming later on if you want to. You want to get more advanced. Print Dialogflow connection error. And it's going to pass so it doesn't crash everything else. I'm going to force it to continue on. If that answer that you get is anything but this new, which means it went through, we're going to speak that answer, whatever we got. And then it's going to return this Jarvis do, which is your intent, out of the program. So this is what's sending you. So the idea is it's getting text in, it's sending all that text to Dialogflow, and it's coming back with an intent of what that text should be. I modified our conversation flow function from previously. Still got the while true. User said equals take command. This is our speech to text engine. So whatever you say goes into user said. Now we're going to have two variables that we're going to use for our logic in Jarvis. We're going to take that user said, we're going to send it to Dialogflow, and we're going to create a new variable that says do now. Do underscore now. This is going to be its intent, and user said is still going to be there. We're not deleting it or removing it. And now we combine those two. So if do now pops back as an exit, anything that is in there, it'll speak exiting the loop, sir, and it'll break. If do now comes back as music, this is where we could take that text that we previously got before, and we can go further into what we want Jarvis to do. We now know that the intent is to play some sort of music. So now if anywhere in what was said before says the word, let's say Scarlet Fire, we know music and Scarlet Fire, so it's going to play that song called Scarlet Fire. I had that on the last video. You're going to have an else if. You say, I want to play some rock. It's going to start this song, which is the rock song I had in the last video also. It knows music and the music intent. Rock is in the word being sent. Those both match up. So to play this. The equivalent of this would be you typing out, play me some rock music. I want to hear some rock. I want to hear a rock song. I want like every possible option. You'd have to have its own line for this. This way you broke that down into just literally 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. As long as it understands that intent. That's the issue with Dialogflow, is you have to do training on the Dialogflow console to get it to understand. So that takes a little time. Not a lot. It just, you have to kind of think of how you're doing it. Some examples of this. We're going to run this and show. We're going to have him right here. Jarvis, play me some music called Scarlet Fire.
Of course.
You can see down here, the only thing I have active is all kinds of other tabs. So we ain't cheating here. Jarvis, play me some rock music.
Good idea.
And this is that Ruthless song from last video.
Kid, don't ever let them get inside your head.
And there you go. You can also have him do some exiting. It's kind of interesting to have him do this. So Jarvis, go ahead and stop listening.
Sure. Call when you need me. Stopping, sir.
See, what happens here is we have that code from before, which was over here. So stop. User said had stop in the word, so he says stopping, sir. Nowhere in this code is anything that says sure, call when you need me. That's nowhere in this code that I put in here at all. So what happened is this went to Dialogflow. I have an intent that's called stop listen, which has all kinds of words of stop, don't listen, knock it off, things like that. So when I said when stop listening is what it thought it heard. It sent that, came back with that stop listen. It was 81.9% confidence, so about 82% that it should be in that stop listen category. And one of the responses it says is, sure, call when you need me. And then it went through, because we didn't have that intent programmed into anything, then it went through and used the user said function for stop. And then it said stopping, sir. If I say something similar to this again, so Jarvis, go ahead and stop listening.
Yes, sir. Stopping, sir.
See, now it says something else from Dialogflow, and then the stopping sir, and then it breaks. So this is how you can add some natural learning into your Jarvis program. It's free. It is a pain. You have to mess with Dialogflow console a little bit. There is a lot that you could do with it. This is just scratching the surface. If anyone has any comments, questions, concerns, let me know. If you're really interested in this, I would suggest you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell at the end. That way it tells you when I update the next one. But until next time, have a good day.